When you catch a narcissist in a lie, it can be very easy to project your own experience of what it's like to be caught in a lie onto them. And when you do this, it can turn this into an extremely confusing, disorienting experience. In this video, I'm going to talk about the differences between how a narcissist perceives getting caught in a lie and how most of us perceive getting caught in a lie. And I do this in hopes of helping anyone out there experiencing this to see through the confusion and the madness that this can cause. Welcome to Looking Behind the Mirror, where we explore narcissism and take our lives back as we make sense out of nonsense. As a quick disclaimer, everything I say is based on my opinions and my personal experiences. I'm not a professional, and if you're really struggling, I encourage you to seek professional help. I am providing links below for you. The topic of this video was suggested by a viewer of one of my shorter reels that I did on this topic of how narcissists feel when you catch them in a lie and how disorienting and confusing this can be. And this viewer asked me to, or they said that they would like to see a longer video on the subject, and I thought that was a great idea, so here we are. I think I'm going to start this video off with a little story of something that happened very recently. A really close friend of mine went on vacation. She was gone for about a week, and she asked her roommate, who I guess she's had a lot of really frustrating experiences with, to water her plants for her while she was gone. She just had a little planter on the front porch with some flowers in it. So, of course, she comes back a week later and the flowers are all dead and the dirt is bone dry. And my friend said that when she confronted her roommate and said, "What happened? All my flowers are dead. Why didn't you water my plant?" That her roommate actually said to her, "I watered it every day." Now, I am not saying that my friend's roommate is a narcissist. I don't know this woman. I don't know how this conversation maybe continued on. I don't know anything about this woman except for these little snippets of frustrating stories that I hear. But that's kind of the point I want to make. I want to use this example as a way to illustrate the differences between the way a narcissist perceives getting caught in a lie and the way a quote-unquote normal person perceives getting caught in a lie. So my friend, I don't think, said anything to this. I think she just rolled her eyes and threw her plant away. I don't know what happened. So she didn't argue with her roommate about this. But let's say that this happened to you and you took your roommate out onto the porch and said, "Look, the dirt is bone dry. My plants are dead. You did not water my plant every day." Now, I would say the fact that the dirt is bone dry and the plants are dead is pretty objective evidence that she did not water the plant every day. But let's look at how she might have reacted to being confronted in this way. Now, a lot of people, when they lie, they don't handle it very well. They might be very immature about this. They might be very dishonest. There might be a lot of different toxic kind of reactions. So some different reactions you might get from somebody. First, they might just admit, "Okay, you're right. I didn't water the plant every day. I said I would, but I didn't. And then I lied about it. I'm sorry." Sorry, right? They just own it. And then you can go from there. Some people might double down. They might just insist, "Yes, I did water it every day." Or maybe they adjust their lie and they say something like, "Well, okay, I didn't water it every day, but I did water it. Maybe I watered it every other day, but I didn't just not water it at all." Or maybe they just start crying. There's a lot of different ways that a non-narcissistic person can react to being confronted with a lie like this. And a lot of these reactions might be very similar to the way a narcissist reacts. But I think the big difference here is if you're not a narcissist and you are confronted with a lie like this, it's pretty obvious that you lied. I think most of us have a reaction of embarrassment, maybe some shame, maybe panic, depending on what it is we lied about. There's this recognition of, "Oh my gosh, I lied and now I've been caught. This is so embarrassing. I've done something wrong. I did something I shouldn't have done. I got caught. Now what do I do? And many of us might have healthy ways to react to this, to deal with this, just to own it, right? And many of us might have very unhealthy ways of handling this. But whatever the way that we handle this, there's this recognition that we've done something wrong and we've been caught. When a narcissist is caught in a lie, it's more of a reaction of, how dare you accuse me of lying? How dare you point this out to me? Don't you trust me? What are you calling me? You're calling me a liar? And many of us, when we hear this kind of reaction, even if this isn't exactly what they say to us, we immediately think, well, yeah, you lied. You are a liar. You did lie to me, and that is why I am calling you a liar. But narcissists don't think this way. And this is the point where this can be extremely confusing and more than frustrating. Narcissists know that they're lying, as in they know that they're saying something that isn't actually a reflection of what actually happened or what they actually did. But they have all kinds of ways in their mind that they justify doing this. They have all kinds of reasons that it's okay for them to lie. It doesn't really matter. And you owe it to them to just believe them. If you really cared about them, you would just take them at their word. You wouldn't look into what they're saying. You wouldn't call them a liar. And when you're dealing with a narcissist that you've caught in a lie, they will view your accusations as a bigger betrayal of the relationship than whatever it is they lied about. It's like you don't have the right to point out their lies, their inconsistencies, to show them evidence that they're lying. When you do this, in a narcissist's mind, you're the one who's done something wrong now. You're the bad guy. They are the victim. They are being accused of horrible things. And it doesn't matter that what you're accusing them of is what actually happened because of the way that narcissists perceive reality. They know what actually happened, but they don't see that as important. They don't care about what actually happened, and they do not understand why you care about what actually happened. Let me explain this in a way that relates directly to the relationships a narcissist has. And this can apply especially if the narcissist is lying about having an affair with somebody. And it also applies to lies of omission. So if the narcissist is having an affair with somebody and they don't tell you about it, that's a lie of omission, right? And of course, if you find evidence that they are having an affair and they deny it, or they get angry at you, or they accuse you of being awful and being snoopy and not minding your own business, and they turn it around on you and make you the bad guy, that's a lie of, I don't know what you would call it, a lie of commission, where they are lying directly about something they did. And either way, what I'm about to explain applies to these lies and how they view them. Any relationship that a narcissist has with any other person, in the narcissist's mind, is independent of any other relationship that they have. A narcissist writes the narrative for each relationship that they are in. So if you are in a romantic relationship, for example, with a narcissist, they have written a character for you to play. This is all about them. It's about a narrative they've created. It's about a story that they've written about you and them, who you are, what kind of person you are, how you feel about them, how you view them. The dynamic between the two of you is something they've created in their mind, and reality doesn't factor into this. Your viewpoint, your feelings, your experience does not factor into this. This is a story they've created in their head, and they've projected it onto your relationship with them. So it's like they've written the script for you to follow, and it's just between you and the narcissist. This is a narrative they've created. Your perception, your experience, your thoughts, your feelings don't exist. This is like a movie that you've been cast to play a role in, okay? So let's say they're having an affair, they're cheating on you. That's another relationship over here. This is a separate narrative. It is its own narrative. And in the narcissist's mind, this is none of your business. It has nothing to do with this narrative here between the two of you, this story they've written here. This is its own story. It serves its own purpose, and it doesn't concern you. This relationship that you have with them should, in their mind, only include the things that they have invited into it. So you trying to concern yourself with this affair over here, that's outside the bounds of what you are supposed to be doing. And to them, this is a form of betraying the relationship. Of course, in reality, and from your viewpoint, this affair is betraying the relationship, right? But that's not how a narcissist views things, because a narcissist doesn't recognize your autonomy or your feelings or your experience, or really that you're a sentient being at all with your own memory and your own needs. You might have sensed this in the language that I just used. The relationship that you have with the narcissist is a this here between you and the narcissist. It's not really a relationship between two human beings that are connecting in any way. It's a thing. It's a story. And so is this over here. So what does all this have to do with catching them in a lie? Well, when you catch them in a lie, you're usually catching them in something that they have not invited into the narrative. That's not part of the story. You're recognizing something that's happening outside here, outside of this thing that you are invited into. You're only invited into this narrow hall of story, of script that they've written for you. And now you're trying to pull other things into this. Why are you doing that? That's not your job. That's not what you're supposed to be doing for them. You only exist to support the narratives that they want to write, that they want to live in. That's the only reason you're in their life. That's the only value you have. You don't have any value to them as a human being with feelings, experiences, and memories. So why are you pulling these things into this that have nothing to do with this in their mind? This is why they view this as you doing something wrong, you betraying them and the relationship, because that's not what you're supposed to be doing. But now let's talk about how narcissists view the truth. Maybe you're confronting them about things that actually happened, and okay, because it doesn't concern this narrative to them, it's, quote, none of your business, right? But what about the way that they adamantly insist on things that are obviously not true? How they can die on a hill of something that is an obvious lie. This can also be very hard to understand. It can be very hard to wrap our minds around the way a narcissist perceives the truth. And it can be very easy to assume that they must be psychotic. They must be hallucinating or remembering things wrong. This must be a mental illness that is affecting their perception. But that's not really it. Narcissists know that they're lying, but to a narcissist, their lies are the truth. Because what they say, what they feel is the truth. What they create in this narrative, what they write in this script is more important and more relevant and more real to them than what actually happened and what is actually happening. They remember what actually happened. They know the truth, but they don't think it should matter. They base reality on how they feel about things, and how they feel about things is much more important than what they can actually see and hear and remember. Feelings are facts to them. And so if they feel like they're not the kind of person that would cheat on you, they didn't cheat on you. Okay, maybe technically they did, but that doesn't count because they don't really feel like they're the kind of person that would cheat. That was different. The rules don't really apply to them because that was a special situation. They're not a cheater. They don't feel like a cheater. They just don't feel like that's the type of thing that's happened here. Therefore, why are you holding them accountable for something that really doesn't count? Or it might be easier to understand this if we turn this around. Let's say that they accuse you of cheating, or they accuse you of anything, right, that you didn't do. And you did not cheat on them, but they keep accusing you of it. And there's no evidence. There's no reason for them to think this other than they feel like you cheated on them. That is reality. And you might ask yourself, like, well, why would they feel this way if I never did it? And how can I prove to them that I didn't cheat on them? You can't prove it to them, because even if you have evidence, even if you convince them that you did not cheat on them, they feel like you did. And so they will think something like, well, okay, maybe you didn't cheat, but I know you would have, because I feel like you would have. And that's how I know that even if you didn't cheat, you would have. And that's the same thing. So I'm going to be just as upset at you, because you still deserve my anger, because you would have cheated. You just maybe didn't get the chance. But my feelings are telling me that that's what would have happened, and that's the type of person you are. Therefore, those are facts. You're a cheater because I feel like you are. There's a line from Seinfeld that I think is really quite profound, as a lot of Seinfeld insights can tend to be. And that's a scene where I think Jerry is about to take a lie detector test, and he doesn't know how to pass it. He's asking George Costanza for tips on how to pass a lie detector test, because he views George as a pathological liar, I guess. And George gives him a bunch of tips, and then he says, Jerry, just remember, it's not a lie if you believe it. I mean, this is really funny, but it really is very much how narcissists view lying and getting caught in lies. If they believe it, if they feel like it's true, it doesn't matter what actually happened. It doesn't matter what reality is. Their feelings are more important. And you need to go along with that with them if you want to be part of this narrative. If you want to be in a relationship with them, you better cooperate with their feelings and their version of reality. Another way to explain this would be to say that narcissists have their own version of how they interpret reality. There's nothing wrong with their five senses. There's nothing wrong with their memory. There's nothing wrong with their ability to see what is actually happening and to remember it, right? But their version of reality is interpreted in a completely different way. And it's sort of like if you understood the laws of physics in the world, and they just had a completely different version of the law of physics in their head, and that's how they interpreted reality. So let's say you got into an argument with somebody about gravity, and this person was telling you that gravity doesn't really exist. It's all a myth. It only works sometimes because it's not real. And of course, you're convinced that gravity is real because that's how you perceive reality. If you can't rely on or believe in gravity, how will you know how to gauge any reality of anything, right? We all believe in gravity. Most of us, I hope, right? Let's say this person who was arguing with you took a ball and threw it in the air, and the ball just didn't come back down. And they said, look, see, I just proved it to you. There is no such thing as gravity. It's a myth. If you imagine this actually happening to you, I bet most of us would still believe in gravity. We would assume there's got to be some other explanation here, because I know gravity is real. And even if you prove to me in front of my face that gravity is not real, I know it is. I don't believe what I've seen with my own eyes. And we all might have our own explanation. You know, maybe we believe that there's some supernatural explanation, or maybe we think this is some kind of optical illusion or some kind of trick, right? We're all going to come up with different explanations. Maybe some of us will just shrug our shoulders, but almost all of us are going to continue to believe in gravity, and we are not going to be convinced by this proof right in front of our face, this evidence that there is no gravity. This is how the narcissist perceives all of your evidence that they're lying. They know what they're saying isn't actually true, but this is how strong their conviction is that their feelings dictate reality, that they dictate reality. They know they're lying. They know that what actually happened is what actually happened. But they don't think that should matter when we are actually talking about truth. Their lies are their truth. That is their reality. Their feelings are their reality, and no amount of evidence or argument will ever convince them otherwise. The narcissist feels like the center of the universe. They feel like they are the only, quote, real person that exists. Everyone around them is a satellite, like a sim character, like a non-sentient character in a movie about them, this script that they're writing. They feel so important. They feel like such the center of reality that they feel like they can dictate reality. They can rewrite history. What they say is the only thing that really matters. And this makes even more sense when you recognize the fact that narcissists don't recognize your autonomy, because narcissists don't recognize the fact that you have memories. They don't think about that. They don't think about your experience. They don't think about what it is that you remember or how that is continuing to affect you, of what actually happened, because you're a one-dimensional character that they've written, right? You don't have your own memories, your own experiences. You will do and say and remember what they tell you to. They'll tell you what's real. Why are you relying on memories or videos or recordings or text messages? They'll tell you what's real, and your memory, your experience doesn't even exist. Imagine that you lived in a world where all the people around you had no memories. It's just you. You're the only one that remembers anything. Would the past really matter as much as it actually does now to most of us? If no one ever remembered anything and you could just tell them all what happened and they would just believe you, would the past really matter? Would something you did yesterday really be all that important if you could just erase it by telling everybody a different version of that reality? Because that is how narcissists view people. They don't recognize or really fully understand that everybody around them has their own memories, and that those memories still mean something. The past, the true history of what has actually happened isn't really real to a narcissist, and it certainly isn't as real as what they feel has happened. There's a quote from Ted Bundy that I've quoted several times because I think it really illustrates this point, and that is that he said, "Try to touch the past. Try to deal with the past. It's not real. It's just a dream." And that's how he perceived the past after the terrible things that he had done. That's how he perceived how irrelevant and unimportant actual history was and actual consequences of the things he had done were. And I can't read his mind. I'm kind of filling in the gaps with my best guess of why he said this and how he experienced what he did. But I would imagine that he had no interest and no understanding of the lasting consequences of the things that he had done. I'm sure that he didn't care about any of that, but to him, it wasn't even real. And that was part of why he didn't care about it. So if you get caught arguing with a narcissist about lies they've told or objective facts that they refuse to acknowledge, remember, they know what actually happened. They know that they are lying. They just don't think it matters. They just don't think that you should be making a big deal out of it. They just don't understand why you're trying to punish them for something that isn't even real anymore. But you don't need to waste your time continuing to try to convince them of the truth, to try to get them to acknowledge what you have evidence for. You don't need to keep trying to do that because they already know. They are already aware of the reality of everything you're saying. They just don't think it matters. They believe their lies more passionately than you believe most truths, most objective realities. So don't waste any more of your time arguing with somebody who believes their feelings more than they believe what they've seen with their own eyes. I hope this helps. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and comment below any ideas you have for future videos. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you like this video and would like to see more like it in the future. Until next time, thanks. Bye.